safety and home. I named both of her eyes, forever and please don't go. I could be your morning sunrise, all the time, yeah. This could be good, this could be good. And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm, she keeps me warm. What's your middle name? Do you hate your job? Do you fall in love too easily? What's your favorite word? You like kissing girls? Can I call you baby? Yeah, yeah. She says that people stare 'cause we look so good together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to.
Good morning. Welcome to Auburn Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, located on occupied ancestral land of the Muskogee Creek Nation. My name is Lisa Simmons, and I will be serving as service associate today from my home office. Welcome to this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in a relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. On behalf of the members of the fellowship, I extend a special welcome to all visitors who are joining us for the first time, and to those of you who may still feel like visitors. If you've not already done so, please fill out a digital visitor card by visiting auuf.org/visitor so that we may welcome you. You may also contact our minister, Reverend Chris Rothbauer, at minister@auuf.org with any questions or concerns you may have. Let us move into the service, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and open to connection in all its forms.
Our opening words are from Sharon Wiley. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you. Every part of you beautiful just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here. Nothing to prove to me, or to your partner, to your friend, to your children, or anyone else. You don't have to try to be more witty, or more quiet, or more outgoing. You are beautiful. Every part of you beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful, just the way they are. You are extraordinary, each and every one of you different, from each, and beautiful in your own beautiful way, breathtaking. Come, let us journey together.
Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. Just to live is holy. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. Just to live. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. Just to live is holy. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. Just to live is holy. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. Just to live. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to be is a blessing. Just to live is holy. Just to live is holy. Just to live is holy. Just to live is holy.
I invite you to light your chalice with us this morning with these words from Lori Gorgas Holleben. We light our chalice flame for those who lived their lives in closets of shame, for those who furtively visited the bars where nobody knew your name, for the Stonewall riot and the fierce trans women who fought, for the plague, which still takes far too many, too young, too soon. So many gone, so many never lived to see out gay kids singing on TV, out gay people serving in the military, marriage equality, families formed by intention. We light our chalice flame for all these and for all our siblings of the rainbow, surviving, living life out in the open with pride. As is our tradition, we also light a candle in solidarity with those families separated at our southern border. I would like to invite you now to join in our opening hymn, hymn number 361 in the gray hymnal, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. The words will be shared on screen.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
One of the ways that we proclaim the warmth and caring of our community is by sharing our joys, concerns, and milestones. We invite those who wish to use the Zoom chat box to type your joy, concern, or milestone during the music for meditation. If you wish for your joy or concern to be acknowledged but don't want to share it, you may also type that you have an unspoken joy or concern. Thank you to all who shared their joys, concerns, and milestones this morning. These joys were submitted in advance for sharing. Chris and Lacey Baskier share the joy that Margie will be 5 tomorrow, Monday the 12th, and Lacey's parents, Steve and Lorna, are able to join us to celebrate. Happy birthday, Margie. Today is also Aisha Lam's birthday. Join me in wishing Aisha a very happy day. May all the joys, concerns, and milestones of this community, those shared aloud and those held in silence, be received into the care and consent of all present. The purpose of Unitarian Universalist communities is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. As is our custom on the second Sunday of each month, we now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit. An offering that will support an organization in the community whose values align with our own, that is doing amazing work in the Auburn-Opelika area. For the month of October, 100% of unpledged donations in our offering basket will go to support Alabama Water Watch. Alabama Water Watch is a citizen-led volunteer water quality monitoring program. The mission of Alabama Water Watch is to improve both water quality and water policy through citizen monitoring and action. They conduct sampling for all major river basins in the Alabama watershed. Through participatory science, Alabama Water Watch encourages watershed stewardship. The organization consists of 3 major components: citizen monitoring groups, a university-based program, and a not-for-profit association. Please give generously this morning as you are willing and able as we bring the compassionate spirit of Unitarian Universalism into the world. To make a donation online via PayPal, please visit auuf.org/donate. If you are writing a check, please make your check payable to AUUF with a note on the memo line about whether it is for the offering or to your pledge. You can mail it to P.O. Box 669, Auburn, Alabama 36831. The offering will now be gratefully received. Our reading this morning.
Hi, everyone. If we hadn't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Matt, and I am the new acting Minister of Religious Exploration for the Auburn Fellowship this year. I hope we get to meet real soon. One of the things I am most excited about in my new job is that every once in a while, I will get to share a story with you on a Sunday morning. And I am very excited this week because my first story I get to share has to do with mermaids. And I happen to love mermaids. So my story this week is called Julian the Mermaid by Jessica Love. This is a boy named Julian, and this is his abuela. Abuela means grandmother. And those are some mermaids. Julian loves mermaids. Now, it's not just that Julian loves mermaids. He reads books about mermaids. When he dreams about being a mermaid. And when he is thinking about being a mermaid, this is when Julian feels most alive. On the inside, truth be told, Julian is pretty darn sure that he too is actually a mermaid. Vámonos, mijo. That means come on, child. This is our stop. Abuela, did you see the mermaids? I saw them, mijo, said Abuela. But she doesn't look as excited about the mermaids as Julian is. Abuela, said Julian, I am also a mermaid. I'm going to take a bath, said Abuela. You be good. Now, I don't know about you, but when somebody tells me to just go be good, that for me is like the favorite time. It's just, okay, I can just like go and like do what I want to do. That's perfect. So, like anyone that is given that opportunity, Julian has a good idea. It looks to me like he is going to take this time to practice becoming a mermaid. I can just tell by looking at this part of the book that feeling about being a mermaid just feels right to Julian. I mean, look how excited he is putting this costume together. But then Abuela comes out of the bathroom and sees him and just says, oh. And look at her face. She does not look very happy with this identity that Julian has just tried on. Uh-oh. Have you ever had an experience like this? A time when you were really excited about something. When you shared a part of it, the adults weren't nearly as excited about the thing as you hoped that they would be? This happens sometimes. Sometimes adults are surprised by something you show them, and they aren't in the best place to take in new information. Sometimes they've never thought of something like that before, and they're not ready to take on a new idea. Sometimes something that you know to be true about yourself isn't something they were expecting to be true for you. And sometimes when that happens, it doesn't feel very good. And when that happens, it can really make you question yourself. But then, sometimes, adults are able to remember what really matters most. Come here, mijo, says Abuela. Where are we going, says Julian. You'll see, says Abuela. Mermaids, whispers Julian. Like you, mijo. Let's join them. and they do. I think the best part of this story is that Julian's abuela was able to understand that Julian really was a mermaid, and she helped him to connect with other mermaids. Sometimes, unfortunately, adults can't always understand that their child actually is a mermaid. But the good news is that there are lots of wonderful mermaids in the world. If you are a mermaid, just know that there are many, many other mermaids in this world that you will be able to find when you are ready to go looking for them. And if you are a mermaid, just remember that you never, ever, ever have to go swimming alone. So that's my story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Know that I am looking forward to hearing all of your stories as we get to know each other in this coming year. Happy swimming.
Our reading this morning is called Choice, and it was written by Alex Capitan. If you're thinking that name sounds familiar, it's probably because Alex visited our congregation back in March, right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, with the Transforming Hearts Collective. It's hard to believe that was one of our first virtual services. Here are some words for today that were written by Alex on their personal experiences. Alex writes, I want to talk about choice. I want to talk about the fact that just because someone who is out to destroy you says, you chose to be that way you are, does not mean the path of the best protection is to counter with, no, I didn't. It's not a choice. I was born this way and I've always been this way. Is who I am, my sexuality, my gender, a deep and real part of me, close to my soul? Yes. Are there choices involved? Of course there are. I've made one choice after another to feel more at ease, more vibrant, more alive. I chose to change my name. I chose to allow myself to open to the idea that I might be attracted to women. I chose to open myself to the idea that, first of all, genderqueer people exist. Second, that I might be one. And third, I might be attracted to other genderqueer folks. After all this, I chose to remain open to the idea that I was still attracted to men and might actually like being in a relationship with one. If I hadn't made these choices, I never could have lived into my full authentic self. And there are some things that are more attractive to me than gender. I'm attracted to feminists. I'm attracted to queer people and radicals. I'm attracted to people who are assertive and like to make decisions. Is any of this biologically hardwired into me? Probably not. Is all of it impacted by culture? Definitely. But do I have every right to pursue relationships and experiences with whomever I want because it's my body and my sexuality? Yes. It doesn't matter who I seek intimacy, ecstasy, joy, or camaraderie with. Sexuality is sacred. Love is sacred. And I deserve and demand the right to full control over my body and what I do with it and who I share it with. So if anyone ever tries to invalidate you or the way you seek intimacy by saying, it's just a choice, tell them choice is sacred. Tell them the inherent right of every person to have full authority and agency over choices they make about their lives and their bodies is a spiritual and human imperative. That there is a word for this, and it's liberation. That there is nothing more worth fighting for. Tell them that in your faith tradition, we don't love people despite their differences or because they can't help being different. We love people because of their differences and because diversity enriches our world and our communities. Tell them that in the final reckoning, there is only one choice that will be judged, and that's their choice. Tell them you hope they choose love.
I look into the window of my mind. on my way. Can't stop me now. And you can do the same, yeah. What have you done today to make you feel proud? It's never too late to try. What have you done today to make you feel proud? You could be so many people if you make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel proud? Still so many answers I don't know. There are so many answers. Realize that to question is how we grow. To question is to grow. A step out of the ordinary. I can feel my soul ascending. I'm on my way. Can't stop me now. And you can do the same. What have you done today to make you feel proud? It's never too late to try. What have you done today to make you feel proud? You could be so many people if you make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel proud? Yeah, we need a change. Yeah, so do it today. Yeah, I can feel my spirit rise and change. Yeah, we need a change. Yeah, so do it today. Yeah, 'cause I can see a clear horizon to make you feel proud. So what have you done today to make you feel proud? Yeah, 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 yeah. 'Cause you could be so many people if you make that break for freedom. So what have you done today to make you feel proud? What have you done today? Let me hear ya, let me hear ya, let me hear ya. What have you done today to make you feel proud? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You could be so many people. Just make that break from freedom. So what have you done today to make you feel proud?
When I came out for the first time in 2000, and yes, it blows my mind that that was 20 years ago, I was so petrified. I did it in the only way I could then imagine, via mass email with about a dozen people in the addressee field. I feel envious of queer kids today. When I was coming to terms with my sexuality, Ellen DeGeneres was about the only mainstream queer person I knew, and her career had virtually been ruined by coming out in the late 1990s, it seemed. Queer as Folk was only just premiering, and Will and Grace was going strong. But those were about the only positive depictions of queerness on television at the time. Today, it seems like there's so many LGBTQIA plus folks out there telling kids it's okay. But the only thing I kept hearing, echoing in my mind, was the words of my childhood minister. Being gay is a sin, and queers go to hell, I remember him saying. I was scared to death to tell anyone my secret. Luckily, it went well, but I can so imagine it not, especially if one of those recipients had not been so receptive and had decided to use the reply all feature to start a fight. I was not a Unitarian Universalist at the time and had not grown up an owl kid, so it seemed so intimidating to declare to the world that I was what so many people consider to be a deviant identity, especially in suburban southern Indiana, in a conservative religious family that, to this day, still largely votes for anti-LGBTQIA plus candidates. But after the personal hell I had endured in my teens, I couldn't wait to get my courage up. I needed to be out and start exploring the possibility of relationships with people I was attracted to. This, combined with other issues in my life, led to so much self-loathing that, quite frankly, I couldn't imagine living past 20 at the time. Many, many days, I just cried all day, and I was so desperate to be who I thought other people wanted me to be, that I even sought out Christians who believed that homosexuality was caused by demons in a last-ditch effort to have them cast out. Coming out did not end this self-loathing I had become so accustomed to. It was not an instant cure to the deep-seated hatred I felt after being subjected to so many homophobic slurs my entire life. But it was a first step towards reclaiming myself and telling the narrative of my life on my own terms. In the words of Alex Capitan from this morning, to tell about the choices I am making with my life. I had tried to change who I was, but if that wasn't going to work, I was going to be the queerest, gayest person I could possibly be. So I came out. And I thought that was the end of it, right? I've told people that's all I needed to do. What I didn't know at the time was that having the courage to come out back then has led to a lifetime of coming out. Sometimes harder than others, but always important to defining the type of person I am. As I reflect today on National Coming Out Day, I believe that my life has been so enriched by this awareness in my story and the ability to articulate who I am, even when the picture is unclear or not yet finished. It's hard to believe that choice to tell people who I was nearly 20 years ago has so profoundly influenced who I am today. The idea of coming out, you may be surprised to learn, is a lot older than you might think. In 1869, German homosexual rights advocate Karl Heinrich Ulrichs introduced the idea of self-disclosure as emancipation. As he saw it, invisibility of homosexual people at the time was a major roadblock to change, as people just didn't see the need for accepting gay and lesbian folks. And I need to clarify so that folks don't feel like I'm intentionally trying to erase them. When I'm talking about times this far back, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, and transgender people weren't even on most people's radar. If enough gay and lesbian people publicly disclosed their same-sex attractions, it was reasoned, then systemic change would be sure to come. Throughout the late 19th and 20th centuries, Forms of self-disclosure for the LGBTQIA plus community continue to be advocated until it became quite commonplace, almost a rite of passage, to come out of the closet starting in the 1980s and into the 21st century. A mark that one had fully accepted themselves and were ready to live a life of full liberation no matter what society says. By the time I was coming out, it was one of the first questions potential dates asked. Are you out? Now, I want to acknowledge that there is no one right way to be out or not. I could never force a person to come out before they are ready. Coming out is an extremely vulnerable act that has the potential to incur negative reactions from people in our lives who might not share our enthusiasm for our self-definition. There are situations, especially with minors, employment, and housing, that would make it potentially unsafe. The point to coming out isn't that there's a timetable for all LGBTQIA plus people, but that we must do it in our own time, as we are ready and as we feel safe. But nevertheless, I am amazed that the societal situation has changed so much that I now hear of kids coming out as early as elementary school. In fact, I recently spoke with one activist who told me that in their support groups, they had to add a group for elementary school kids because that was the fastest growing group. The difference, I believe, is that kids nowadays are able to see much earlier that being a queer or transgender person is not as transgressive, not as damning as once thought. So Ulrichs wasn't wrong 151 years ago. But systemic change isn't the only reason for coming out. American LGBTQIA plus rights activist Frank Kameny, who was once fired himself for coming out as being gay, once put it this way: we must instill in the homosexual community a sense of worth in the individual homosexual. For Kameny and for so many others, coming out is an act of taking back our self-worth, of refusing to be defined by societal expectations for how we should be. When we tell the world who we are, we define ourselves and our own lives and set our own expectations for ourselves. But more than this, coming out can be a tremendous act of love, most obviously for ourselves, because we come to realize the amazing people that we are and that we don't need to hide behind masks of fear that prevent the world from being able to see who we are. Coming out means I no longer have to expend the energy necessary to keep up the false facade to the world. It means daring to live openly and vulnerably. More than this, though, it's such an act of love to others. When I come out, I am saying I want you each to be able to get to know who I am. I'm not going to hide my partner. I'm not going to hide who I am or my expression. It's an act of vulnerable, intentional honesty that is asking you to see me as I am, beyond all stereotypes and assumptions that intentionally or unintentionally come to mind. To judge me based upon who I tell you I am versus who society tells me I should be. It's a realization that intentional, open honesty can be a powerful force in the world for compassion, empathy, and understanding. In the words of organizer Adrienne Marie Brown, on so many levels, interdependence requires being seen as much as possible as your true self. For those of us able to safely come out, it can indeed be a very self-liberating act of love for the person we are, and a refusal to betray who we know ourselves to be deep down in the core. Even most folks who never completely come out to the world find a core group who they do feel safe with. And I hope that this fellowship is one of those places where folks feel they can be open and out to at least a small section of the world. Having had such an intentional coming out, I've come to realize how coming out is not just a once and done act. Every time society assumes me to be straight or cisgender because of our heteronormative systemic narrative, I find myself coming out again and again. It's not that I'm introducing myself as, "Hi, I'm Chris and I'm queer." But each time I have to interrupt the assumption that my partner is a woman, each time a doctor wants me to disclose to them the primary gender of my sexual partners, every instance of not seeing people like me reflected in society is a coming out over and over again. But it's not just my sexuality. I found myself coming out as agender. It's a coming out sometimes to remind folks in middle-class spaces that I grew up very poor. Trust me, I've been in UU congregations where an answer that a person didn't graduate high school is met with curious glances. When I started openly telling people I was an atheist, ironically, around the same time I was coming out in my sexuality, that was absolutely a coming out. Trust, I am probably preaching to the choir here if y'all have been in the South for very long. And now it is a coming out to tell people that I'm a Unitarian Universalist. Because the first question's right always, what is that? But then the second question is often trying to pigeonhole me. I often find myself being in the interesting predicament of being too humanist for Christians and too Christian for many humanists as a result. These are all points in my life where I've decided to disclose with the world an aspect of myself that defies our cultural hegemony. I'm no longer the cisgender, straight, white, Christian, middle-class male that many people want to see when they look at me, and it happens every week. Just this week, I smiled to myself as someone tried to use the fact that I'm a minister to get me to agree to terms in a store situation. A manager of the store found out I was a minister and said, "We're both Christians, right?" But I'm defining myself and letting other people know who I am. It doesn't mean there aren't ever consequences for my disclosure, but it does mean that I am living the person I know myself to be, because I've decided I can't live any other way, authentically and vulnerably. My own experience has convinced me that most of us are coming out in different ways nearly every day, even if you are straight and cisgender. I wonder if telling people that you go to a Unitarian Universalist fellowship, especially in the Deep South, sometimes feels like a coming out, when the nearly universal assumption is that most folks around here attend a Christian church. Being willing to be open with who you are is allowing another to get to see you. And if they reject you, as hard as that is, maybe they didn't deserve you in their life in the first place. In the words of psychologist and author Brene Brown, I now see how owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. Coming out is brave because we do risk rejection. And I have had my sexuality and my gender, among the other factors that I've listed here today, used against me. But paradoxically, it's the only way to change towards creativity and towards innovation. We need to show ourselves able to change the way things are. And that includes changing the world by changing assumptions. I wish that I could get on Zoom right now and ask how many of you have come out about some element in your lives. I imagine that there'd be a lot of different responses, but I suspect that for many of you, even a bad experience of coming out may have led to more confidence and self-acceptance about who you are and where you belong in the world. I'm convinced that not just coming out, but being able to accept a person's coming out can be a model for a world that not just tolerates, puts up with differences, but actively values us for who we are. That's the key to building community. In order to build long-lasting, trusting community, I believe we must each value every person within the group, accept what makes them the amazing, wonderful person that they are, and the words that they use to describe their experiences, which are valid and true. That each person's self-definition is accepted. Recently, I had a conversation with some activists, and we were talking about why we feel like the LGBTQIA plus rights movement has made so many strident steps, whereas the racial justice movement is still struggling to get the very same things done they've been asking for decades. And I don't think it's anything wrong with either movement. But I think that once more and more of us who were queer and trans came out, there was no denying that every family had a gay member, that transgender people are everywhere, that bisexual, pansexual, and asexual people are not just myths, that intersex people deserve the right to self-definition. Karl Heinrich Ulrichs was right. Once we weren't invisible any longer, there was no denying that we were everywhere, and compassionate folks of all sexualities and genders joined us, demanding justice and liberation. And though we got a stinging reminder from the Supreme Court last week that that fight is still far from over, it's a hell of a lot better than it was when I came out 20 years ago. And if some of you all came out even before me, I imagine you have stories about how 2000 was like paradise compared to when you came out. when you have the courage to come out as yourself, you just might start a tidal wave that could change the way things are. Imagine a world where differences aren't just accepted after the fact, but anticipated, where what makes us unique is celebrated as contributing to what makes us the same, where everyone sees the beauty in everyone else. I feel lucky to have had the opportunity to disclose myself to the world so often, and it's made me a stronger person. To return to Brene Brown, courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. I am living a very different life today than I thought I was supposed to in my teens. But my life has also been full of immeasurable beauty as a result, for which I will always be grateful. May you find the courage in circumstances to let your true colors shine, in the words of that Cyndi Lauper song. To every day be able to clearly articulate, in the words of singer Heather Small, what you have done today to make you feel proud. May it be so. I would like to invite you to join us in our closing hymn, hymn number 1017 in the Teal hymnal, Building a New Way. The words will be shared on screen. I'd like to invite you to extinguish your chalice with me now with the words on your screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us following the service. We'll have a second hour this morning in Peter Levant will be leading it on emotional intelligence. If you'd like to participate, just let us know in the chat box, and we'll make sure to get you to the room. We'll also be having virtual coffee hour rooms for any interested. So please be with us this morning. I'd like to invite you to join us in our sung benediction.
Go forth into the world in peace, in peace. Be of good courage, hold fast that which is good. Go forth into the world in peace, in peace. Love of people rejoicing in the power of the Spirit. Go in peace.
Our benediction is from Andrew Pecula. There are miles behind you and many more ahead. As you journey on toward wholeness, may all that is good and true guide your way. May the joy of love lighten each step, and the miracle that is life be ever in your sight. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.